Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll call the Planning Commission meeting to order for January 13th at, 6:03. Commissioner Lopez, will you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Sosa, can you call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Daly?
Here.
Commissioner Lopez?
Here.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia?
Here.
Vice Chair Quell?
I'm here.
Chair Sherrick is out for today. Commissioner Galante?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Pratt?
Here.
Commissioner Carloni?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Orlando Garcia is out for today. In addition to that, I wanted to state it for the record. We are having technical issues with our live stream on YouTube, but this will be broadcasted on Channel 3.
Thank you. Okay, the first item here, public comments. 3-minute limitation shall apply to each member of the public who wishes to address the Planning Commission on any item on the agenda. Excluding public hearings, there is not a limit to the number of items that may be discussed within that 3-limit period. Ms. Sosa, can you have administration of the oath, please, to the speakers?
Of course. For anybody who is intending to speak, please stand and raise your right hand. I'm sorry, before I begin, did everybody complete or fill a speaker slip? Yes. Okay, if you have not done so, we do have some to the right-hand side. Now, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this body will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say, I do. Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, consent calendar. The next item is the consent calendar. Consent calendar items are routine in nature and may be enacted in one motion. All public and non-public hearings will be open at one time. Any item may be discussed separately upon request of a member of the Planning Commission or a member of the public. Does the staff have any updates to the consent calendar? Staff? Any updates to the consent calendar? Okay.
Sorry, Vice Chair Quayle.
That's okay.
No, thank you.
No?
No
Okay,
updates.
thank you. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on the consent calendar? If not, may I entertain a motion to approve the items on the consent calendar?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Daly?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Vice Chair Quell?
Yes.
Commissioner Galante?
Yes.
Commissioner Pratt?
Yes.
Commissioner Carloni?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, public hearing items. The Planning Commission will first hear a report from the staff, and then the public hearing will be opened. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak. Next, the members of the public will be allowed to speak. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak must be sworn in and have a filled-out request speak form available. The forms are located on the table near the door over there. When your name is called, come forward and speak your name into the microphone. Say and spell your name for the tape record. After all is spoken, the applicant will be allowed to respond. The public hearing will be closed and the Planning Commission will begin a deliberation and make a decision. All decisions except general plan amendment and municipal code amendments are final actions unless an appeal is filed and a fee is paid within 15 days of the community development to the Community Development and Housing Department. If you challenge the resulting action of the Planning Commission in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described in this agenda or in a written correspondence delivered to the Community Development and Housing Department or at the public hearing. Okay, with that, I'd like to introduce the first item.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Michael Rosales, Senior Planner with the Planning Division. Before we get started on item 2 tonight, and before you have a revised resolution. There were some issues when...
Excuse
Yes,
me,
I'm sorry,
just
sorry.
1 minute. I hate to interrupt you, but I believe we're supposed to approve the minutes of the previous meeting before this. Is that correct?
You approved the consent calendar, Vice Chair, and the minutes were the only item on the consent calendar.
Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Go ahead.
There's a revised resolution in front of you. We had some issues when we publicized the whole packet. The wrong one got PDF'd and actually uploaded. So if you look at your revised resolution, and you look at your screens for the resolution that's there, the changes are actually noted on your revised resolutions in purple. So on the very first page of the recommendation title, where down in number 4, it says Dissolve Development Agreement number 08-02 and replace with the Memorandum of Understanding. We are striking the verbiage and replace with the Memorandum of Understanding, as that is a private, contractual agreement between the Cal State and the developer themselves. So it's actually just supposed to be in the documents as a reference. If you go ahead and move over to page 10. Under section 4, conditions of approval, where it says the approval general plan amendment 23-01, specific plan amendment 23-01, subdivision 23-05, subdivision 23-06, and subdivision 23-07. All that should be there is specific plan amendment 23-01 and subdivision 23-05 for tentative track map 20595. So the rest of the verbiage will be stricken. As you go down to the first 3 conditions of approval under section 4, where it says this approval is to change the zoning district classification from office industrial park. Obviously, that is the wrong project altogether. So we replaced them with the correct verbiage in the revised resolution. And the last change was the expiration date. We changed it from December 10th, 2026. It's supposed to be January 13th, 2028. And that would be the changes for the reso. All these changes will occur before we do the final signatures. All right. We're going to move on to item number 2 tonight, which is specific plan amendment 23-01 and subdivision 23-05. Its adoption, the proposed project is the adoption of an addendum to the subsequent final environmental impact report and mitigation monitoring and reporting program in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. It encompasses approval of a specific plan amendment number 23-01, approval of subdivision 23-05. It also encompasses dissolving development agreement number 08-02. It's located on a 404 acre site at various APNs within the University Hills specific plan. The project site is located in the northern portion of the city of San Bernardino, immediately north of the California State University San Bernardino campus, and adjacent to several debris basins operated by the San Bernardino County Flood Control District. The site encompasses approximately 404 acres of vacant land within the western foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains, which extends roughly 60 miles east from the Cajon Pass to the Coachella Valley. Elevations across the site range from about 1,600 feet above sea level at the southern boundary to approximately 2,600 feet at the highest point. Badger Hill, located just south of the site, contains an observatory used by the campus for educational purposes. Here we have the planning area as a reference, so you can see approximately where they will be locating the homes in the track map. All right, we're going to get into the analysis. So the project involves the First Amendment to the University Hills Specific Plan. It was originally adopted by the City of San Bernardino in 2008. This amendment proposes adoption of an amendment to the final subsequent environmental impact report and the MMRPs, which is a mitigation monitoring and reporting program. The modifications to the land use plan and a reduction in the overall development intensity and the number of permitted residential units within the 404-acre site. The amendment also includes subdivision of the site into 327 single-family residential lots and the removal of development agreement number 0802 from the property title. So a little background. 1993, the Paradise Hills Specific Plan was approved with a certified EIR, which is Environmental Impact Report. It was proposing 504 residential units on 229 acres and 175 acres of open space. Development was later revised to avoid the San Andreas Fault and Upper Badger Canyon and to coordinate with Cal State San Bernardino. The project was never built due to economic conditions. Moving on to 2005, following adoption of our new general plan, or then new general plan, the project was renamed the University Hills Specific Plan via Resolution 2005-362 in November of 2005 by the Mayor and Common Council. Updated land use designations were applied, but no development occurred. In 2008, the project attempted to move forward with subdivisions and went before the Development and Environmental Review Committee. However, the DERC warranted further analysis of the environmental documents, and the subsequent environmental impact report was prepared and adopted by the Mayor and Common Council via Resolution 2008-422 in November of 2008. Between 2008 and 2025, development of the project in its current form is anticipated in the future, and specific plan and the subdivision were applied for within this time period, which is 2023. Excuse me. So the amendment, specifically, the amendment would include the following changes to the overall project. Reduce the number of planning areas from 24 to 4. Reduce the residential density of the project from a maximum of 20 dwelling units to 3 dwelling units per net acre. Increase the amount of land preserved in perpetuity as open space from approximately 235 acres to approximately 300 acres to better accommodate environmental site constraints, such as seismic and biological constraints. Reduce the number of allowed residential dwelling units from 980 to 327. Redesign the conceptual park plans. Update the circulation plan to connect Badger Canyon Road south to Campus Drive and add additional emergency vehicle access roads. And it has also updated the development standards and design guidelines to focus on single-family residential development. Approvals associated with the specific plan amendment includes a tentative track map. The tentative track map implements the land uses proposed in the University Hills Specific Plan, and it would subdivide approximately 338 acres into 327 single-family residential lots. The project proposes 3 primary lot configurations, one at 2750 square feet, one at 3600 square feet, one at 4500 square feet. The proposed configurations had to be designed around the San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District's 75-foot foothill pipeline, which runs through the property with slope conditions, and in the introduction of shallower lots made balancing the site possible per the specific plan's design guidelines and standards. The subdivision will also include areas for landscaping, a passive park, water quality basins, roadways, hiking trails, and a 46 acres of open space. There will be an additional 300 acres designated as open space within a remainder lot. So there's a pedestrian and bicycle connectivity. The amendment would add pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure throughout the project site. Improvements include pedestrian and bike routes with amenities such as benches, bike racks, shade structures, and lighting. Pathways would connect residential areas to recreational spaces with bike racks placed at key locations within the park and open spaces to promote non-vehicular travel. Trails would feature consistent signage and appropriate bollard lighting. Roadways, traffic, and circulation. The 2008 project provided primary access from the Campus Parkway extension with Badger Canyon Road used only for emergency access. The amended project retains these routes and adds 2 new vehicle access points. One new driveway would connect to a future road linking Campus Parkway and North Campus Circle, just north of the existing West Campus Circle and North Campus Circle intersection. A second driveway would connect to a future fire access road along Badger Canyon Road, which would link to Devil's Canyon Road, just north of the Campus Parkway, and North Park Boulevard, Devil's Canyon Road intersections. For utilities and infrastructure, the project will require the installation of utilities and infrastructure systems, including potable water, water to fight the fires, if any, wastewater, storm drainage, electricity, natural gas, street lighting, and sidewalks, which would all be installed to serve the project. The updated amendment includes utility master plans for water, sewer, storm drain, and etc. All project utility connections would be located underground. 8 above-ground Frontier electricity poles, power lines are located within the project site. These electric power lines would go underground and relocated away from the residential lots on on-site improvements. For the landscaping, the project's landscaping would include trees, shrubs, and ground cover to create a unified look. It would improve views, hide unwanted areas, and stabilize the slopage out there. Streetscape features like lighting, signs, and benches will help make the community attractive and consistent with nearby architecture, and landscape at major roads and entrances will strengthen its identity. Water will be conserved using native and drought-tolerant species, efficient irrigation, and medians or parkways to manage all the runoff. Shade trees and fire-safe plants will be placed throughout the site to provide comfort and highlight important areas. Maintenance will be handled by the Homeowners Association and landscape and lighting maintenance districts. For the recreation areas, the project would develop recreation and open space areas. Recreation open space areas would be designed to accommodate the needs of different ages and abilities. Canopy trees would be used to provide shade. Outdoor furniture would be provided in parks and common open space areas that would complement the surrounding architectural styles, materials, and colors. A combination of hard and soft paving would be used depending on the function of the recreational amenities. Active areas would utilize turf, grass, and ornamental plantings, while passive areas would primarily be composed of drought-tolerant species. Lighting, for project lighting, will guide vehicles and pedestrians, highlight entries and activity areas, and match the community's landscape and architectural, while following dark sky guidelines near the observatory, since there's one up there for the Cal State. LED street lights and exterior lights will be energy efficient, shielded, and directed away from neighboring properties. Standard lights will not exceed 15 feet, with exceptions for parks and approved features. Parking, game courts, and key landscape areas will have appropriate lighting for safety and visibility, all reviewed and approved by the city. For off-site improvements, off-street improvements would include drainage, water, and sewer improvements. A fuel modification zone would be constructed on San Bernardino County flood control properties within public easements and the reservoirs. The project would also require the construction and realignment of main ingress and egress roads and EVA roadway alignments, which is emergency vehicle access alignments. So we got a little construction schedule they gave us. The project does not contain a specific phasing plan. However, the project would include backbone infrastructure that would include roads, water, sewer lines prior to developing any of that planning area we've seen in the site plan. The assumed project construction timeline would start in January of 2027 and go through approximately March of 2029. So moving on to the dissolution of the development agreement 0802. The applicant has requested the development agreement 0802 be dissolved. The agreement's 5-year performance plan required off-site right-of-way acquisition, submission of backbone infrastructure plans, and completed plans for the first phase of residential construction within 5 years of April 19, 2012. None of these were completed, so the then developer, failed to meet the requirements. Additionally, many terms of the development agreement, such as city maintenance of roads and landscaping, public parks and buildings, impact fee schedules, and multifamily student housing, are no longer relevant to the proposed amendment. The DA will be replaced with a memorandum of understanding to preserve Cal State University's interest in roadway access, maintenance, open space, and campus safeguards. With planning conditions of approval incorporated into the resolution, provisions will be ultimately formalized through an encroachment agreement. This will be recorded against the property title, but the agreement is between the applicant and Cal State San Bernardino only. And lastly, it conforms with the general plan as it is an adopted specific plan by law, right? Okay, so this is access to the proposed development. You can see it coming off of Campus Parkway, Devil Canyon Road, and Badger Road. Go into these two areas here. So Axis 1, connection from Campus Circle to Badger Canyon Road. The Campus Parkway to New Axis Road adjacent to Campus Circle, which will connect to Badger Canyon Road and then ultimately to the development. You can see it, I did it in yellow, coming from Kendall, and you come up Campus Parkway, and ultimately a new approach and streets would be directed there. So we have the existing site from Campus Circle and Badger Canyon access. So this would be the access points. And this is where one of the main access points would come through in this back area over here. And this is just a picture from across the street from the campus. So Axis 2, connection from West Devils Canyon to Badger Canyon Road. It would be access from Campus Parkway to Devils Canyon Road to Badger Canyon Road, and then ultimately the development. And here we have some pictures of the current state, and this would be the access point up here, starting from this area and in here. And we have our tentative parcel map. It is broken into 3 different views. So these 3 views make up what we saw for that site plan. And that is the overall site plan. Then you can see the access points here from Campus Parkway and then leading into the development. All right, and then we also have a fire department fuel modification plan or a fire protection plan that was put in place, right? And it provides guidance to reduce the fire risk and demand on fire services by establishing a comprehensive layered fire protection system. The approach combines pre-planning, fire prevention, passive and active protection, and suppression strategies using proven fire-resilient measures demonstrated in the live field. So fire protection and safety measures, buildings use ignition-resistant materials per current codes, and all homes include NFPA 13D fire sprinklers. A minimum 100-foot fuel modification zone surrounds the project, with paved roads and compliant fire apparatus access. Landscaping is fire resistant and drought tolerant, with prohibited plants excluded. A reliable water supply supports firefighting and extended fire flow. Annual inspections are conducted by an approved third party with ongoing maintenance by project management, and alternative measures may be approved where full defensible space is not feasible. So fire safety education and ready, set, go plans are provided to residents at occupancy. So ready, set, go is drop everything, you have your bags packed, somewhere safe, ready to get them, load them, and take off. All right, so with that, the Planning Division's recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution Number 2026-001, forwarding a recommendation that the Mayor and City Council consider the addendum to the certified subsequent final environmental impact report for specific Plan Amendment 23-01 and Subdivision 23-05 in accordance with Section 15164A of the Public Resources Code, and direct the Planning Commission Secretary to prepare and file with the Clerk of the County of San Bernardino a notice of determination as provided under Public Resources Code Section 21152C and California Code of Regulations Title 14, Section 15094. And 2, approve specific Plan Amendment 23-01 and Subdivision 23-05 based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommending conditions of approval. I appreciate it's a lot of information. I'm here to answer questions. and the applicant as well.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay, now we'll open it now to a public hearing. We'll first ask the applicants or give them an opportunity to speak, for the applicants in the audience. Thank you. Please give your name and address.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and
Thank you.
Commissioners. My name is David Hardy. I am representing the applicant, Encore University Hills LLC. First, just want to commend Mr. Mike Rosales that he got thrown into this project just over a month ago and did one heck of a job on putting together that staff report and getting himself up to speed on this project in the middle of the holiday season. So thank you again for that, Mike. What this application boils down to is we have an approved specific plan with a certified EIR. And we're taking that and we're reducing the unit count by nearly 2/3, and we're adding almost 100 acres of open space to that approved plan. That's what it is. So we have our applicant team, our consultant team here available for any questions, and myself as well, should those arise. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers on behalf of the applicant? No? Seeing none? Oh, maybe so. Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll open it for any public comments, and I've got quite a few of them here, so if you'd please limit your time to the 3-minute limit. The first one I have here is a Ms. Jamie Sheldon. Hi, Jamie.
I also have submissions, written submissions from the Crestline Soaring Society and the Department of Water Resources. Do you want me to hand those out to you guys? I'll give you, let's see, that's from the Crestline Soaring Society.
Did you want me to distribute?
Yes, please. And those are from the Department of Water Resources. Thanks. My name is Jamie Sheldon. Did you want me to spell it and give my address too?
Just your address, if you would,
Okay,
Jamie.
it's 101 Evers Edge, Irvine, California, 92618.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm a member of the Crestline Soaring Society. I'm on the board there. I also serve as the U.S. delegate to the CIVL, which is the international body that governs hang gliding and paragliding. And I've served for more than 25 years on the U.S. Hang Gliding and Paragliding Association, which is our national body governing the sport. I'm here tonight because I've been the primary liaison
Can you
between...
make sure the timer's on?
Oh, do I need to do something? Okay. I'm here tonight because I've been the primary liaison between the Crestline Soaring Society and the Department of Water Resources, particularly regarding the Encore University Hills project and the problems that are created by the plan as it's currently written. Over the past several months, I've had numerous conversations with the DWR, and they've confirmed the points that the next speaker, Mr. Rob McKenzie, is going to describe in a little bit more detail. Just by way of background, though, when our original landing zone was taken through eminent domain to allow the Department of Water Resources to expand the Devil's Canyon power plant, a critical condition of that taking by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission license required the state, through the DWR, to mitigate the loss of our landing zone. As part of that mitigation, the DWR relocated us to the current site where we are now and constructed a purpose-built landing zone specifically for hang gliding and paragliding. A critical point I want to make tonight is that The CSS is operating at its current landing zone, not by chance and not informally. It's a direct result of a mandate by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. The bottom line is that this federal agency, FERC, has mandated that the state of California provide us with a safe landing zone. That mitigation is ongoing. It doesn't expire with time. It remains in place for as long as hang gliding and paragliding continue to operate at the site, and for as long as our landing zone is needed to support those activities. The concerns we're raising tonight aren't theoretical. They relate directly to whether the current plan, Encore's current plan, would interfere with the safe and lawful use of a landing approach that's been in use continually for more than 30 years and that exists because of a federal licensing mandate. We do want to be really clear about our intent. The CSS isn't opposed to development, and we're not opposed to the Encore development. We very much want to work collaboratively with Encore and with the city to find a design solution that protects this federally mandated use of ours, while still allowing the development
I'm sorry,
to move forward.
Jamie, your 3 minutes are up.
Okay. Okay. The only other thing I wanted to say is that I have the letter that we passed out from the Department of Water Resources, and I would love to be able to just read it into the record, if you guys would allow. It should take me about 2 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And I'll be quick about it. January 12th, 2026. Dear City of San Bernardino, the Department of Water Resources, DWR, currently has a lease in San Bernardino with the Crestline Soaring Society, Crestline, for the Andy Jackson Air Park. This lease allows Crestline to operate and maintain a hang gliding landing site, parking area, and access to the site. This parcel was purchased in '93 solely for the purpose of relocating Crestline from another parcel that the DWR purchased in 1989 related to the expansion of the Devil's Canyon Power Plant second afterbay, an associated proposal to increase power generation at the power plant. This project requires review and approval by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, that's FERC, for licensing to expand the Devil's Canyon Power Plant and its operation. Under Article 410 of DWR's FERC license, DWR was required to acquire property and relocate Crestline to mitigate for what would otherwise have been the loss of a hang gliding recreation site. A critical component of all FERC licensing is the requirement for recreation as established by the issuance of Order Number 260 in 1963, which amended Section 4.41 of the Commission's regulations to require the filing of a recreation resource plan for all major license applications filed after June 1, '63. In 1965, Order Number 313 was issued, which added Section 2.7 of the General Policy and Interpretation section to ensure that the ultimate development of recreational resources at all projects is consistent with the area recreational needs. In this case, the popularity of Andy Jackson Air Park shows a clear area-specific need for hang gliding as a type of recreation, and it's unlikely that FERC would authorize replacement of the air park with another type of recreation at the same site. And it would be more likely that there would be a requirement to relocate the air park. This requirement means that the loss of any recreation site, but especially Andy Jackson Air Park, operated by Crestline, may have critical impacts on FERC licensing for the state of California's Department of Water Resources and its operations to deliver water to millions of people in Southern California. Restriction of airspace due to city planning would qualify as a significant impact that would result in the loss of this recreation site. As such, we request that the city work with the DWR directly to understand our concerns and mitigate potential impacts or interference to our ability to operate our state water resources development system prior to any approval of projects in the vicinity of the air park. Please contact me at your earliest convenience to discuss. And that's by Kristen Greenacre, Senior Right-of-Way Agent at the Department of Water Resources.
Thank you, Ms. Sheldon.
Thank you so much.
The next speaker is a Mr. Robert McKenzie.
My name is Robert McKenzie.
My name's Robert McKenzie. My address is 148 Lakeview. That's Fawnskin, California, 92333.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. I've been active in hang gliding since the early 70s. I've been a member of the Crestline Soaring Society since 79, and I was the designer of the current landing field behind Cal State known as Andy Jackson Air Park. I'd like to summarize some hang gliding history and then address a concern I have with the project and follow with a suggestion for a low-cost way to mitigate. The original local air park was founded in 1979 by Andy and Juanita Jackson of San Bernardino. It was incorporated as Pinecrest Air Park. In 1990, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, known as FERC, was evaluating a request from the California Department of Water Resources, the DWR, to construct $1 billion, that's with a B, dollar hydroelectric project near Devil's Canyon. The project would cause the loss of Pinecrest Air Park. FERC concluded in the power plant license, or included, I should say, in the power plant license that the DWR provide a replacement landing field to mitigate for that loss. The replacement landing field was built in 1993 and has had an outstanding safety record. I'm here today because the planned development has housing proposed abutting the northwest corner of the boundary of the project, immediately adjacent to the Andy Jackson Air Park, which would be directly under the hang gliding final approach path. Hang gliders approach to land by flying very low throughout the final turn to landing. The proposed homes in the northwest corner would create risks, both that the pilot might arrive too high in order to miss the houses and end up overshooting the air park, or worse yet, the pilot compensates for the possible overshoot and arrives too low and lands among the houses. By switching a reasonable amount of acreage in the northwest corner with a similar sized open area elsewhere in the project, the open area then being under the hang glider's final approach would vastly improve the safety both for the pilots and for the future residents. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. McKenzie. Next speaker, Michael Meyer.
Michael Meyer, 13381 Bow Place, Santa Ana, California, 92705. I've been actively involved in issues of aviation safety throughout my 45-year career. I served as a board member of the Hang Glider Manufacturers Association for 44 years and as its president for 26 years. At the request of Carl Christopher of the FAA's Riverside Flight Standards District Office, I served as an aviation safety counselor for the purpose of coordinating communication between hang glider operations and conventional aviation operations, including aerial firefighting. I was lead technical writer on the task group that developed the design standards adopted by the FAA for weight shift controlled light sport aircraft. I have consulted on safety issues with Gulfstream, Virgin Galactic, Scaled Composites, and others. I am a member and associate fellow of the Society of Experimental Test Pilots and have been recognized for my contributions to safety by the National Aeronautic Association, the United States Hang Gliding and Paragliding Association, the Society of Experimental Test Pilots, and the Rogallo Foundation. I was a co-owner and test pilot for hang glider manufacturer Wills Wing, which operated in Orange County from 1973 through 2021. And I have 4,300 landings at Andy Jackson Air Park over the last 30 years. Landing any aircraft requires a clear, unobstructed approach path. During the approach, an aircraft continually descends closer and closer to the ground. Unpowered aircraft like hang gliders and paragliders get only one shot at that approach. They cannot execute a go-around if things go badly. Hang gliders landing at Andy Jackson Air Park use a standard left-hand aircraft approach pattern, including a downwind leg towards the mountain, a left turn to a base leg parallel to the mountain, and a left turn to final approach and landing into the wind. Rising terrain to the north of the landing area makes this the only practical approach for safe landings. The latter portion of the downwind leg and all of the base leg and final occur very close to the ground. Any object in this area that rises above the ground inevitably interferes with this approach. The Encore project, as proposed, would include structures that intrude on this required clear airspace and consequently would introduce critical issues of safety that cannot be mitigated by any available alterations to flight operations. The result would be a greatly increased likelihood of serious injury to pilots using the facility, and in a worst-case scenario, the possibility of property damage and serious injury to people on the ground. The only available mitigation for these safety concerns is for the Commission to deny approval of this project or, at a minimum, to require adjustments to the project design that preserve the necessary clear airspace that will allow for safe flight operations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Good job. Okay. Next speaker, Stephen Pearson.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Stephen Pearson, 5845 East Lavender Court, Orange, California, 92867. I've been flying hang gliders at the sites associated with the CSS Air Park continually since 1975. Although I haven't tabulated my flights as precisely as Mike, it's about 5,000 flights. I was president and co-owner of Wills Wing and partner with Mike and employed as an engineer and test pilot for 44 years. I also served as president of the United States Hang Gliding and Paragliding Association, our national governing body, in 2021 and 2022. Wills Wing is a manufacturer of hang gliders based in Orange for 50 years, and we produced more hang gliders than any other manufacturer worldwide during that period. The founders, Dr. Chris Wills and his brother Bob Wills, were the first U.S. national champions in 1973 and 1974, and more U.S. national champions in the following years are on Wills Wing gliders than any other model. CSS Flight Park is not just a recreation site. It is a functional aviation environment used for aircraft testing, development, and safety evaluation. Manufacturing and flight testing requires year-round flying conditions, stable air, open space, and unobstructed approaches. Altogether, these requirements are unavailable at any other flying site nationwide. Not on the East Coast, not in the Northwest, not in the Southwest. This site at CSS is unique and special. Wills Wing used CSS Flight Park since its inception for test flying and development. The first glider models to fly 300 miles, and the model associated with the current world distance record of 475 miles were developed at CSS. The open space perimeter at CSS is neither cosmetic nor incidental. Open space perimeter is an essential part of the operational envelope for all aircraft, which requires a clear and unobstructed path to landing. Buildings and other obstructions have a dramatic effect. They change wind flow, create turbulence, reduce safety margins. There is no alternative site in Southern California or in the entire nation with comparable features, including consistency of wind and weather conditions, accessibility, and safety margins. If the proposed plan is approved, the site will no longer support a wide range of safe operations. I urge the Commission to deny approval or require changes that preserve the open space and airspace necessary for continued safe aviation and use of this world-class flying site. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Mr. Owen Morse.
Actually, I have a written letter. Good evening. My name is Owen Morse. I live at 101 Evers Edge, Irvine, California, 92618. I'm the president of the Lynn Zafran Free Flight Conservancy. I've also flown Andy Jackson for more than 30 years. Many of you may not be aware of the site's long history as one of the most important free flight locations in the country. The Free Flight Conservancy owns the 15-acre property immediately adjacent to both Andy Jackson Air Park and the project site before you tonight. We are here not as casual users of the area, but as adjacent landowners and long-term stewardship responsibilities. The Free Flight Conservancy was formed for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to protect free flight at Andy Jackson Air Park. Our mission is narrow, specific, and long-standing. We don't advocate unrelated issues. We don't oppose development as a general matter. But when a project directly conflicts with the ability to safely conduct free flight at this site, we feel obligated to speak. Safe flight depends on a few non-negotiable conditions: open airspace, adequate buffer zones, and a predictable landing environment. These aren't preferences. These are baseline safety requirements that allow pilots of varying experience levels, including students and visiting pilots, to operate safely. The proposed residential development places homes directly within the established landing approach corridor to the air park. That corridor is not incidental. It is an essential part of the landing zone itself. Without it, the landing zone does not function safely. From a land use perspective, residential development immediately beneath an active flight approach is simply incompatible. Once those conflicts are created, once homes are built in that location, at that point, the impact is permanent. This is not an abstract concern. It is a concrete land use conflict with long-term consequences. We ask only that it be addressed before irreversible decisions are made. As a conservancy and as a landowner, we have a responsibility to protect not only the ground we own, but the safe use of the airspace above and around it. Approving a plan that compromises that airspace would undermine the very purpose for which the conservancy exists. For these reasons, I urge the Commission to either deny approval of the plan as currently proposed, or to require conditions and redesigns that fully protect free flight operations and the conservation goals tied to this land. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. The next speaker is Alan Crones. Gross. Thank you, Alan.
Good evening, Alan Kraus, 8931 Whispering Pines Road, Cherry Valley, California, 92223. I think I had too many twos in there. Here is the secretary of the Len Saffron Free Flight Conservancy. And tonight we would like to ask for continuance of this proposed and plan as before you, so that the environmental review can be handled in a complete compliant manner with CEQA and with appropriate public participation. As you've heard, this environmental document was first presented in 1993. There was a major modification in 2008 by another developer, and now, almost 30 years later, we have the 2026 version, 33 years later, actually. The environmental setting has changed. The regulatory framework, the community conditions, climate change, greenhouse gas regulations, these are all issues that have arisen over that period. Some of them have been included in the amendments, but unfortunately, in particular, this recent amendment ignores the adjacent land use and the long-standing aircraft approach. Despite our efforts to work with Encore to address movement of a very small number of homes to a different area of the development, this plan has come before you in the shape it is tonight. So what we're proposing tonight is that the environmental review be postponed so that we can work with the developer to reallocate within his very large area the homes that would currently be planned for under the aircraft approach. The proposed project threatens to severely impact the conditions, including flight safety, flight corridors, wind and thermal patterns, emergency access, and the long-term viability of these sites. This is not addressed in the amendment that's before you tonight. This does raise the question of the adequacy of the environmental impact assessment that's coming before you. Again, we are not opposed to development, just a very narrow sliver of homes being in their current location. With that, I ask you to please continue this item and direct your staff to evaluate the need for additional CEQA review with public participation. Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Mr. Ben Kanzenbaum? Kanzenbaum. Thank you.
My name is Ben Kanzelbaum, and my address is 14432 Grassmere Lane, Tustin, California. I started flying in 2017 and 2018. I made Andy Jackson my home flying site, and it is not there by accident. It's due to a FERC mandate to the DWR to relocate its previous location. Andy Jackson Flight Park was specifically selected and designed to provide the necessary safety margins and approach corridors for unpowered flight. By approving development through our existing approach patterns, we would effectively be dismantling a public safety commitment that was federally required to exist. We are not just asking for a courtesy. We're actually asking for the city to honor the integrity of a landing zone that was mandated to replace what was already taken from us. I urge the Commission to protect the existing approach paths that make our air park safe and viable, but by denying approval or imposing strong protective conditions. I'd like to point out a quick chart. Looks like a bunch of chicken scratch, but it is our approach patterns. Generally, this is probably at least how many people fly on one weekend, if not even one day. And you can see very clearly where these would greatly impact our safe approaches. I'm happy to leave this up there for the remaining part of our time. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker is Mr. Mauro Morales.
Good evening. My name is Mario Morales. My address is 1801 Fair Oaks Avenue, South Pasadena. I will add that this map gives me a little heebie-jeebies because I lost my home in Altadena, and being there with 100-mile-an-hour winds, my house was 2 miles from the hillside. So, so my family has been involved with hang gliding for it's over 50 years now. I've had my first flight when I was 10 in 1973. We've had 3 of us flew hang gliders, designed and built them here in Southern California. Now, presently, I fly, and my partner, Noel, there, also flies, and our daughter, who is a teenager right now, is very anxious to get going and looking forward to a future at this site. During this 50 years, these people that are behind me here are amazing people, and they've been around and influenced the world. I can't express that enough. But in Southern California, I would say in these last 50 years, we've lost at least 90% of the flying sites that we had in the time that I've been flying. And that is predominantly due to developments. And once they're lost for good. I think these guys have already emphasized that modern hang gliders really were developed in large part right here in Southern California. It is an exceptional place, as they have mentioned, and we have visiting pilots from all around the world here. And not only that, but the U.S. national team members train here. This is the favorite site to train. In fact, not only the competition pilots, but also, people that have done I guess you already explained that, but they've made world records flights that are acknowledged around the world, including Owen Moore sitting here. So the proposed site plan here does make this site unusable for hang gliders. And I would not fly it as it is put here. It is absolutely unsafe. So I hope that you guys can help mitigate this in some way to help our future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Next speaker is Erica Klein.
She's not yet arrived, sir. Oh, she is.
Hello, I'm Erica Klein. Address is 1305 East Everett Place in Orange, 92867. I have been hang gliding for 18 years, and I teach at Windsports, which is a professional hang gliding school that's been operating in Southern California for about 50 years. We regularly teach at Andy Jackson Air Park, and we and the other schools that operate there have taught thousands of students to fly over the decades. We rely on the continued use of the existing landing zone for safe training and flying for our student and our pilots. However, as you've been hearing, the proposed development as currently designed will block the approach airspace required to safely use the landing zone, making it unusable for instruction. So as you've seen from the diagram, hang gliders cannot descend vertically or make tight turns at low altitude. Safe landings require a long, unobstructed approach path, which would be blocked by the development. And then blocking that airspace eliminates the landing zone's functionality for us. And even more so, hang gliding schools and student pilots need an even bigger safety margin than experienced solo pilots. So it's especially important for us as a school for using this training site to have that airspace. So in conclusion, we urge the city to protect this irreplaceable landing area by denying approval or imposing strong protective conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker I have here is Joseph Grebrel.
Good evening. My name is Joe Greblo, 9920 Herondale Lane, Tahunga, California. And thank you, Honorable Vice Chair and other commissioners and our applicants and our community. Thank you for coming. I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm here today as a dedicated advocate, deeply concerned about the proposed large residential development bordering this historical hang gliding park, a treasured community asset that has been operated successfully for well over 30 years, and previously another 20 years adjacent to that location. With my limited time, I want to focus on a highly relevant and successful precedent set by our neighbors in the Los Angeles City Council and the Los Angeles City Planning Department, which addressed a nearly identical challenge decades ago. In the early 1980s, a developer proposed 350 home residential development in LA that also threatened a viable, long-established hang gliding flight park there. One that, like this flight park, established dates back to the sport's inception in the late 60s and early 1970s. The project raised similar concerns: potential airspace conflicts, safety hazards for pilots, nuisance issues, and loss of essential landing areas. The LA Planning Commission and LA City Council recognize the importance of preserving these recreation activities and supported its constituents. Rather than allowing the development to endanger this unique recreational resource, the LA City Council, Planning Commission, working with the zoning department and the community, required the developer to deed approximately 5 acres of prime open space land directly to the nonprofit Sylmar Hang Gliding Association, a sister to the San Bernardino Hang Gliding Flying Club. This land dedication formalized through City Council resolutions in 1983, permanently protected the critical landing field and ensured safe and continued operations. The outcome has been a resounding success. LA City Council's decision enjoyed strong local support and has stood the test of time. The Sylmar Hang Gliding Association thrives today as a proud partner with our fellow San Bernardino Club, also attracting thousands of visitors, pilots, and their families from across the globe, also offering hundreds of safe flying days annually, and also serving as a celebrated jewel of the community. We provide valuable open space, promote low-impact recreation, boost tourism and the local economy, and we embrace the quality of life for our neighbors, all without impeding responsible developmental growth. Real quickly,
Sir.
to illustrate the esteem, our city councilmen, our state senator, our county supervisor have all flown hang gliders from our Cagle Mountain. And we respect, the Andy Jackson Park delivers these same benefits to the community. And this approach taken by the city of Los Angeles deems a responsible way to, for the city council of San Bernardino to service its citizens and work directly with the directors. So we ask that you table this motion or postpone it until the
Thank you, Mr.
concerns can be
Gibault.
met. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker is Mr. Luke Berger.
Good evening, Luke Berger, 427 Leghorn Avenue, San Diego, California, 92114. Before I begin, I just make a real quick point of clarification. The graphic that Ben shared with those approaches, those are not just drawings, those are actual GPS datum from actual flights. So it shows how in the weather conditions, approaches can vary greatly depending on the conditions. I'm the current president of Crestline Soaring Society. I've been a hang glider pilot since 2018. I learned to fly at Andy Jackson Air Park. The CSS is a nonprofit organization. We have about 240 members, but over the years, our total membership represents thousands of pilots from all over the United States. We manage the daily operations of Andy Jackson to include all aspects of flight safety, ground coordination, and facility management. Andy Jackson is a purpose-built aviation flight park that enables safe landings in high-density airspace. Andy Jackson is not a common park where any person can use the facilities at their leisure and then leave the management and the maintenance to be done at the expense of city resources. This is not informal recreation. It is an active, well-organized aviation site. Our members pay annual dues to cover operating costs. The CSS has voluntarily maintained a $1 million liability insurance policy for the last 20 years, which is very expensive. The budget also covers safety and groundskeeping equipment for facilities maintenance. Administratively, the CSS maintains strict protocols for flight safety. A large part of that is the traffic separation and approach schemes that you have heard about tonight. Our site management rules ensure a safe space for flight activity, as well as post-flight socialization for CSS members, guests, and spectators. Our goal is maintaining a world-class flight park that preserves the availability and accessibility of the sport now and for all future pilots. All of this work is accomplished by dedicated volunteers. Between our full-time members, students under instructions, and many, many visiting pilots from all over the United States and the world, over 10,000 individual flights land at Andy Jackson Flight Park every year. Our safety record is largely due to the physical facility arrangement and CSS management of Andy Jackson Flight Park. That safety record depends on unobstructed approaches and predictable conditions. The Encore University Hills development in its current planned format would introduce structure hazards that would directly interfere with normal flight operations. The proposed development plan would introduce conflicts that CSS cannot mitigate through rules or risk management. The Planning Commission should not approve this project as the way it is designed because it will undermine a functioning aviation facility serving a large, organized community. The CSS requests this plan be either disapproved or that significant amendments should be incorporated, and we would request a continuance so that we can work with the developer and hope that we can make those plans come to fruition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next speaker is Mimi Bouquet. Mimi? No? They've said it all, huh? Well, I appreciate the group that has come out here and the presentation you've made. It's quite an impact. Being a native here, I've always appreciated watching the hang gliders go over. I've never tried it myself, but I had no idea it was such a big operation. Thank you. Okay, going forward here, are there any other public comments? Thank you. Okay, Dolores Armstead?
Hello, Dolores Armstead, on Cypress, huh?
I'm sorry about that. If you can go ahead and take the oath to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this body will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Sure, thank you, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Dolores Armstead, Cypress Drive. I actually live in San Bernardino, okay? First of all, I'd like to say, San Bernardino, we have missed a fantastic opportunity to promote something that nobody else in the region has. Why haven't we promoted? This is an attraction for our city, something we can brag about, and we haven't. There's no other city that has this. This is braggable, and we haven't done it. That's a doggone shame. This is something that we can be proud of, okay? My other comment is I do definitely thank the planning department for reducing the density because we didn't have an infrastructure to handle over 900 units. So we really appreciate that you reduced the density. A question I have is, are any of these homes available for first-time home buyers? And starting at $1 million plus is really not affordable for first-time home buyers. So is anything, I don't know if you can do that, but we need first-time home buyers or something affordable for the people in the region. $1 million plus is really not affordable. Okay, just a thought. But the biggest thing is everything going to be bought by a corporation, just like in other developments, and nothing available for purchase by individuals. I don't know if you can control that, but it's a shame we have so many developments that are bought up by corporations and the citizens don't get a chance. Those are thoughts. But my biggest thing is we are missing one heck of an opportunity. And I'm living in San Bernardino, and I know they had hang gliders up there, but the fact that it was never promoted, this is something special for our city. And you should be utilizing, putting it out there to show this is something that nobody else has. We're great. Why hasn't it been? And yes, you should continue it because you need to work. You really should work with these people. Your project area is big enough, there can be some modifications. You really need to think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores.
From a citizen.
Thank you. There you go. Another speaker, Mr. David Hardy. Oh, yeah. The applicant, you're up to speak again?
So he's available for questions.
Oh, okay. Okay. Are you sure? Thank you. One more? Bobby Lyons? Long. Thank you.
My name is Bobby Long, live at 3169 Bend Canyon Road, just adjacent to the hang gliding park and to the plan thing.
Sorry, sir, let me go ahead and do the oath.
Oh, I already
and we
did it.
will- Oh, you
I
did?
have it in the back.
I apologize.
No
Continue.
problem. One of the first things that I wanted to bring up was the roads there. Devil's Canyon Road is not a public access road. It is not owned by the city of San Bernardino. It's owned by the water district. Every time I call them to have it fixed or something like that, the water district or the San Bernardino always tells me we don't fix the road. That's one thing. Fire protection. It's only a 2-lane road. If you're putting in 300 homes, there's going to be 600 cars plus trying to go down a 2-lane road. We haven't learned nothing from the Palisades fires. This would probably be something that would really be noticeable or want to be brought up. We do have winds exceeding 100 miles an hour up there. When that happens, they turn off the power a lot of times. So the gentleman was talking about the fire, putting out the fires and stuff with water. Well, what happens when the power gets shut off? The pumps get shut off. Well, there's no water. So that's something that needs to be looked at. What else I got here? High winds. Insurance. Insurance in San Bernardino is getting very hard to get. Not impossible, but very, very extremely high. Probably some of the farmers won't even go up there anymore in San Bernardino. What else is there? Animals. From coyotes to, we're having a big problem with coyotes were there. LA County just has a big problem with them. Mountain lions, rattlesnakes, eagles, the dust from the Caltrans yard that's there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. They work there 7 days a week sometimes. They were working over Christmas this last month. This last month. So that's just something that I just wanted to bring up to you guys to make sure that, the city council's aware of all these problems that could really occur, from fire to animals to hang gliders to everything else. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of it, that, that's something that would really need to be looked at. Oh, plus, I have a plan even on that one there. It looks like to me that the property that they're proposing here is landlocked. There is no, all the property around it, on the north side of it's all forestry and the south side of it's all water district. I don't know if they have easement through it or not yet. So that's something that would have to be addressed as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Okay, do we have any other speakers? Okay. Okay, if that's the case, we'll close the public hearing and take it back to the Planning Commission to discuss and motion.
Oh, okay. First of all, very good presentation. And I would agree with Dolores in regards to promoting your facility. It's beautiful. I had a chance to look at it. I was going back and forth between my phone because I didn't want my, I have notes here that I've written down. So if you saw me on my phone, it's that reason. But I wrote them on paper as well, just in case my battery dies. That being said, this question is actually for the developer. Do you mind coming back to the podium? Thank you. Now, I know that you mentioned there's, I think, 100 acres of open space. Have you considered the concerns that were addressed today?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's additional 100 acres of open space from the 2008 approved plan. First, I thank you everyone for the passion. Dolores, I love the engagement. I sit on a community planning board myself, and typically we're talking to ourselves in empty chairs. So having people in the room and having decorum like this and engagement is great to see. So yeah, we absolutely have considered that. The items and a lot of issues that we have heard this evening have actually been thoroughly vetted and understood through the 2008 EIR. The DWR letter that was circulated earlier this evening almost mirrors what was circulated as part of the EIR comment letter in 2008. It references the same FERC license and the the negative declaration that DWR had to put together for the construction of the hydroelectric plant. In addition, the flight patterns were also understood and looked at during the 2008 plan. So we have met with the air park previously. We heard their concerns, and one thing we try to do is how can we improve upon what was approved in 2008. One item, and I raised this point to you last night, is how can we lower some of the pad elevations in the approach area? And what was really the limiting factor is there's a 108-inch transmission water pipeline that bisects both our property and the DWR property where the landing strip is. That really sets the elevation of how much you can bring the site down, because that water pipeline is not moving. So we spent almost 2 years going through different iterations of the site plan of how much we can drop in. And long story short is we were able to drop pads approximately 11 feet in some areas, and then we were able to honor the open space area at the very northwest corner of the site for their final approach zone, and we held that from the 2008 plan. The other open space is very north in the site where it's very mountainous. They're coming down from their takeoff area, and as you can see on that site plan there, where else are you going to go? If you go any further north, you're in the mountains, you're in the San Andreas Fault area, which we're obviously trying to avoid. We can't go west because that's DWR property. You can't go south because that is county flood property. Same thing to the east. So this site is maximized, and all while still reducing the total unit count from the approved from 980 down to 327 units.
So if I may, Commissioners, there's a packet in front of you. It has a note, and then it has a pink and an orange tab on it. So the note was this is the 2008 comments on the SEIR back then. Starting at the note is the comment letter from the group behind us, and they're giving their comments and issues and concerns. And then starting at the pink is our response, the city's response to comments, right? And then it ends at the orange. So within that document, there was mitigation efforts on both parties' sides to try to come to a conclusion to make this project feasible at the time. So in the 1970s, when the hang gliders were going off a little mountain, is the reason why they went up to Teddy Bear Rock, which was the Pacific Crest, right? And that whole property is owned by DWR. So they're leasing this property out so that they can go ahead and have their facilities up in that area. So the reasoning why is the Paradise Hills residential project, which was approved in 1993, it was approved in February of 1993. 1 month later, in March of 1993, the DWR approved the NEGDEG for relocation of their landing pad. So this has already been a back and forth issue since 2008, but because development has never proceeded, there's never been any mitigation efforts. And that's why we're here before you. So I don't want you to think that it's just out of the blue. This has been an ongoing issue, and there was mitigation efforts that were going to be reached, but were never made possible. So we would recommend that they can work together and come up with some sort of regulatory and land use issues to avoid impacts on the project as a whole. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and appreciate the discussion here. So I've got a whole lot of questions. I probably won't take them all in one shot, but I want to start with something that kind of is a little interesting. I was on the Planning Commission back in 2008 when this came back after however many years. So, and I remember hearing all about the wonderful things at the hang gliding park, and that's where I first learned about it. So it's a great treasure. I think so for legal, is there a shelf life for an EIR?
No.
No?
It can last forever. When you change development, then there has to be an analysis about have those conditions changed? Do we have to make, any additional mitigation? But if development doesn't change and what they propose to be built was built, no, there's not.
Okay. So I think one of my concerns is just the fact that we're leaning on at minimum, 30-year-old EIR, some from 93. So certainly environmental conditions have changed.
2008, sir, sorry.
2008, okay, yes,
Correct.
So at minimum, we're 18 years since the last EIR was done. And that kind of gives me some concern, just because of the changing conditions of the actual environment, weather patterns, wildfires, PSPS events, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of one first concern that I have. The other concern that I have is related to the dissolution of a development agreement with the city and then moving that for some reason over into a memorandum of understanding with Cal State University, which is it's my alma mater, but it's not a local land use authority. And so I have serious concerns about what at least appears to be somewhat of moving certain aspects that if it remained under city control, the city would have a tighter level of control on it, and then shifting that over into an MOU, which is, in my opinion, probably, it's legally enforceable to a certain degree, but it's not with the city of San Bernardino, which is the ultimate land use authority here. So that's a concern of mine as well. And I think I'll stop my first round of questions, which is with this one. Why now? Why the rush? I saw the letter from DWR was dated yesterday. I see the letter from San Bernardino County was also dated yesterday. And obviously, we're not in a situation where this is moving at lightning speed, considering I was on the Planning Commission almost 20 years ago and had the specific plan brought before me then. So I'm just kind of curious why the rush now. And I haven't even gotten into my concerns about the fact that we're going to go from 900 units down to 300 units, which is a different side of the conversation. And this letter from Fenimore, which I have some thoughts on as well, but I'll stop my initial round here. Thank you.
Vice Chair Quell, Commissioner Daly, may I just respond to some of your comments? So why now? Let me start with that. Why not now? Because it's been sitting around for so long. So let's put that aside. Let me address your comments regarding the EIR and actually, let me start with the MOU. So the MOU was specifically designed for a specific type of project, number of housing units, et cetera, et cetera. This project is a significant deviation from what was in the MOU. Now, I would have recommended that rather than just do away with the agreement with the city, development agreement with the city, is modify the development agreement so that at least we have that development right. And the first question I asked was, do you understand that a development agreement also carries with it vested rights, which means if you enter into a development agreement, you're entitled to those development standards that were prevalent at the time that the development agreement was entered into, but also development agreements have a shelf life, so it could have a term. So I would have approached that development agreement issue a little differently rather than throwing it out, just modify it. But having said that, the development agreement and the MOU are not related. The MOU is not placed there to replace the development agreement. The MOU comes into play because a portion of this project is going to pass through property owned by the university. So there's access issues or whatever that issue is. That needs to be worked out between the two agencies. But the development agreement, but the MOU is not to replace the DA. The DA is just something that they decided to do away with because none of those items and issues and circumstances that were present when the DA was entered into are present today because the project is something that looks totally different. So I suppose the question is, do we really want a DA on this project or not? And if so, what are the terms? What do we want to see there? So that kind of answers that question. But as to why now, well, this is 2026. 2008 went to the Planning Commission. That's a long time for a project to sit around. So I think if it's not now, is it going to be a year from now? And what will be different at that time? But I think the critical issue for the Planning Commission is this. Should the project be modified to satisfy the comments that you've heard this evening? Mike Rosales' response is those comments were made in 2008 in the EIR. We've done an addendum to the EIR. When was the addendum to the EIR done, Mike? With the application. So it was done this year. So we took the 2008 EIR and then we have an addendum done to it to address some of the changes that are being proposed. So I'm just going to stop there and then wait to hear some additional questions the commissioners may have so that we can actually come to a conclusion.
Thank you, and I'll cede the rest of my time for the time being.
Commissioner Clone?
I would like to make a motion to approve the project resolution number 2026-001.
I'll second the motion.
Vice Chair, I have some questions still that I'd like to ask before we make a motion.
Sure, go ahead.
For the applicant, I just wanted to ask the question, these new homes they're gonna fall under HOA, and if you can just give me a quick rundown on square footage and lot size of each property?
Sure. Yeah, when we first met with the city, they made it clear that they would like the roadways to be privately maintained, along with the landscape as well. So with that being said, we decided that this will be under an HOA that includes all on-site streets and the 2 off-site streets that you see here, which in turn is why necessitates us to get into an encroachment agreement with the university, because they need to be ensured that their faculty and students can bypass and have access through the roadway. In terms of the unit sizes, and we don't really have the unit sizes, we're just providing a general envelope of how much or how big the builder would be able to build in there. The lot sizes will range between 2,500 to 3,600 square feet, I believe. The home sizes, if we're just going off averages, it could be between 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. But again, that's going to come down to the home builders and the floor plans that they have. They typically reuse their floor plans throughout the nation. So whatever they want, it'll be as per the guidelines written within the specific plan document.
I just had another comment regarding the analysis that was done on the altitude. I appreciate you mentioning the difference of elevation, that the building pads were shaved in order to make this hang gliding landing, I would say, more safe. I also wanted to ask for the Andy Jackson Air Park. I wanted to know what the safety record has been for the past 5, 10, or 15 years. Have we had any incidents, accidents, near misses?
There
Yeah, over the past 5 years, primarily what happens is pilots land where they don't intend to land, and that's just because they lose lift and they end up in areas. 9 times out of 10, our pilots are able to hike themselves out. They're just landing on a hillside somewhere. Occasionally, there are injuries, and they're usually pretty minor. We've had a few situations of more serious injuries, things like twisted ankles, twisted knees. Primarily, we do not experience any kind of mechanical failure with the aircraft. It's usually due to pilot error. But we have experienced no fatalities in that time period that you mentioned. Those have occurred in the distant past, but like you heard from some of our speakers, the technology has increased dramatically. The gliders that we fly today are, well, if you look at the original gliders, they were like the Wright brothers glider, and what we fly today are F-18s. But generally speaking, injuries are typically minor. Our safety protocols are designed on traffic separation, so we're avoiding any kind of mid-air collisions. And the paragliders and the hang gliders, we are in the same sport. We utilize the same thermal lift, but they're very different aircraft types. So if you're familiar with the paragliders, they look more like a parachute, and the hang gliders are the delta wing with a semi-rigid frame, so they fly at different speeds. So that's why we have to keep them separated in the approach. So largely, any of the what we call landing out is that situation I described where you lose lift, and that's the primary thing that happens. People land out in places, and the only time that they've required rescue is mostly because of the terrain. You know that the chaparral can grow 8 to 10 feet high, and literally, if you land there, you're not injured, but you just physically can't move. Also, I'd like to point out that 9 times out of 10, our pilots are not requesting assistance. There is a bystander, a witness who calls 911. A lot of times these guys land, we know where the roads and the trails are. Our phones work most of the time, and we call each other, and we do I wouldn't call it rescue, it's just self-retrieve. We pick each other up. So, but generally, you know, it is not, you can't say, assign something like level of safety. What we say is there still is risk in the sport, but we mitigate that risk to the maximum extent possible.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
No problem.
And then I just had 2 more questions for the applicant. My other question was, as part of this development project, are there any improvements to like hiking trails? Because I know a lot of residents in the city hike up there. Is there any plans to build any trails or make it safer or make it more appealing or more attractive to residents in our city?
Sure. On site within the area behind you where you see the lots called out, we will have enhancements and improvements to some of the trail systems. Additionally, the lots to the very north end against that big 2-to-1 cut slope, there will be an access, one for maintenance crews to get back there to maintain the stormwater facilities and landscaping, but also there will be a hiking trail where we'll be providing an easement to the university for their students to go back. It's going to be a great opportunity to see a huge cut slope that is within the San Andreas Fault Zone, so there might be some interesting geologic features that they can utilize as learning classroom areas. So within the site itself that you see here, there are trail enhancements. The other 300 acres that's just open space, we don't intend to enhance those trails.
And then another question, what was the reason to reducing the unit count from 980 to 327?
Absolutely. So one is we looked at, well, first, obviously when this was originally approved, it was 2008. Some major economic events happened in 2008. And so as we go further, we looked at what the current market demand is. It's single family housing. Another gentleman mentioned this is in a high fire severity zone. So we took that to heart, and when you have attached units, almost 9 times out of 10, it's either very expensive to get insurance on attached townhomes and condos, or it's darn near impossible. So detached single family housing is the way to go for these fire zones. And the point that I made earlier in terms of the 108-inch water pipeline going through there, when you have attached units, the pads that you have to grade are large and flat. With this being on the hillside and our elevation set, you don't really have that opportunity. So the 2008 plan is kind of a cartoon. It looked great on paper, but when you try to employ a real plan and civil engineering design to build off of, it's not really feasible. So, we started this process back in 2020. I first met with Jenny, and we had to mask up and get the sanitizer in our hands, and it was a very different time, but it was a long time ago. It took us this long to get this far because we wanted to make sure that this plan that we put in front of you today is a real plan that a builder can come in and start moving dirt within a year from now.
And then my last question, what are some lessons learned from the Palisade fires, or what mitigations are you taking as part of this project to protect these homes in the event we have a fire?
That's a great question. The county fire was the first agency we spoke to and brought the plans to. And they've already reviewed the site plan, our fire mitigation zone plan. They provided conditions of approval, which is in your packet tonight. So the considerations there was, again, we're in a high fire severity zone, so there's a different building code that is applied to these units when the builder goes to build it. On top of that, we have to provide 2 points of access. The cul-de-sacs lengths are shortened. The amount of units you can put in those cul-de-sacs are shortened. So, in any length above that, you have to have 2 points of access. So we took that in consideration. The landscaping plan and the landscaping that's going to go in there is going to be heavily modified and enforced by the HOA. The Palisades fire, really, again, you have units that were built in the 50s and 60s. The technology then is not fire safe. Starting over 10 years ago, all units are required to have fire sprinklers, so that's here now. And like I mentioned, the fire FMZ plan that we are going to employ.
And my last question, sorry, what's the estimated tank size how in terms of gallons, roughly?
That one, it's in the plan. I can pull it for you. I don't remember at the top of my head.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
This is also for you. Based on the flight pattern drawing that was brought up here, it appeared to me that 1/3 approximately of the project would be affected by that. And am I correct in my assessment that due to the land use configuration surrounding it with the forestry to the north, et cetera, there's no place to relocate those? So in essence, this isn't an easy modification here. We would be talking about relocating 1/3 of the project. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, I guess that's a fair assessment. And then the question becomes, where do they go?
So my comment then is that we are not asking for a small modification here, is what I'm getting at. Thank you.
Thank you. I always need you. Thank you very much for making me aware. I didn't even know you guys were up there, and now I do. And it seems like from the paperwork, you're not opposed to the building project. It's just that landing zone, the flight 2. Do I understand it that some of the houses are in the way of the landing?
I was hoping I could answer that. We don't need 1/3 of the houses to be moved. We need the drawing that you saw, Ben, just shows what many of these lines you're seeing are at a much higher altitude. Our approach pattern basically goes along this row of houses and in this way. So, I can see getting by with somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 houses being relocated. If this were park area, we would be in fantastic shape.
Is that right in the middle of the project or at the
No,
edge?
that's right along the eastern, or the western edge of the project. On
Okay.
the east side of, our landing field is right here.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
And you hadn't had an opportunity to meet with the developer to discuss?
We did.
You did?
Yeah, we did. And we expressed our concerns, and initially we were told, look, if you guys don't like it, we've got, we'll just go back to the original plan, which was 900 and some homes.
Okay.
But I've spoken many times with Dave Hardy trying to see if there's something we can work out, because like I mentioned, we're not looking to stop this project. We're absolutely in favor of the project, but there's a very small area there that if we could have some consideration for, it would solve
And
everything.
what was the developer's response to that? Why would he not consider it?
I don't know.
Developer? Can I have the developer? Why would you not consider the houses that she's talking about? She says a few houses over on that edge. Why would you not consider that?
It was considered in the
they're on
2008 EIR.
They're on a lease from the state of California. They've been there, 30 years? They were asked to move previously. Why would you not consider it?
It was considered in the 2008 EIR.
And you didn't see why are we here then, if you did consider it?
We're here because we're amending the specific plan from 980 units down to 327.
Commissioner Galandi, I'm sorry, your microphone.
Thank you. Sorry. The open space that you're mentioning, will you have various playground equipment? What's it going to look like? Can you give us a visual of the overall outcome in regards to some of the recreational items that are going to take place there?
Sure. So if we refer to the plan behind you, you'll see elongated open space areas in between the lots, 2/3 of the way up. These are open space areas with just passive park areas, grass. We also have a couple areas that's going to have tot lots and playgrounds. But that's basically the open space areas along with the trails that I mentioned earlier. At the very northwest corner of the site, that is Lot B of the tentative track map. That will not be amenitized at all. It's just flat grass area. Again, that is a carryover from the 2008 plan as the final approach zone for the hang gliding park. In addition to that, it contains the FMZ, I'm sorry, not the FMZ, the EVA access for fire department.
Okay, thank you. All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Daly, before you, let me just kind of try to give an interpretation to the response the applicant gave to Commissioner Lopez's question, why are we here? Technically speaking, yeah, we're here because of the amendment, but I think the answer you're looking for is, if this had been mitigated and resolved in 2008, why do we still have people making comments about that issue in 2026? So, and the answer lies in the mitigation measures that were actually implemented in 2008 that address this same issue. Mike, can you, where's Mike? Okay. Can you go specifically into the mitigation measures in the EIR that addresses the hang gliding flight path, et cetera, because it seems to some people that this is a new issue that hasn't already been vetted or resolved. Can you clarify that, please?
So this was already an issue that was brought up in the 2008 subsequent EIR. So if you look within those comments that's in front of you, basically it's broke down as this. So the Paradise Hills residential project was approved in 1993 in February, as I said. A month later, the DWR approved the NEGDEG, which is a negative declaration for the relocation of the Crestline Soaring Air Park because of the water infrastructure. So DWR concluded the air park would not create health hazards or expose people to safety risk. Now, these are our findings. This is the city's findings. At the time, DWR determined the safety risk to be less than significant, even with approved nearby housing. The Paradise Hills developer warned the DWR that placing an air park next to housing would create serious safety hazards for pilots and residents, according to our staff responses from 2008. The record shows DWR knew there could be future conflicts between air park operations and residential development, but approved the air park anyways because they own the property. As part of its federal obligations under the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the DWR must provide permanent recreational mitigation related to its hydroelectrical operations, which theirs was the landing pad for the air park. So basically, this was all addressed within that EIR, and if you look within those comments, they even addressed the flight patterns, and they gave certain heights and certain standards for coming in and for the height of the buildings that the hand gliders, paragliders would be above.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Has the city spoken with DWR in response to the letter that was dated yesterday?
We haven't had a chance.
You haven't had a chance. Do you intend to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how does, so Fed trumps state, state trumps federal, state trumps local, excuse me. So how does this potential change if the project would move forward and the landing area is no longer usable? How does that put the city at risk of being subject to litigation from DWR for, impeding its ability to provide this FERC regulated or FERC required component?
Vice Chair Quell, Commissioner Daly, the answer would be no, because as Mr. Rosales pointed out, when the DWR project was moving forward, these issues were brought into light, and the city made certain observations to the DWR at the time, and the DWR decided to go ahead and move forward with whatever it is to consider this to be a part of the flight path. So if they chose to not observe or respect the items, and in their environmental document came to the conclusion that this was okay, they can now turn around and then sue the city for telling them what we told them when this issue was brought up the very first time. I mean, the first document of evidence will be the EIR, our comments and their comments. So, and the other issue is the property in question. When I first heard about this, I thought maybe the property being flown over belonged to either the organization of hang gliders and so on and so forth, but it belongs to a different entity. One way to mitigate this, if they really want that flight path to be safe, is, well, maybe we want to purchase this land and leave it vacant. But I don't really see anything that would preclude the project from going forward, because per se we're not in violation of any rules or regulations. We respect the right for the air gliders to glide in that general area, but unless there is an overwhelming environmental impact that would say this doesn't work. The developer already mentioned that, to actually facilitate the request of the hang gliders, they lowered the foundation so that the elevation of the homes were a little bit lower and would make it easier to fly over. So I don't know how else this can be mitigated unless that section, and I'm not advocating unless that section of that development is purchased, and then it becomes, no man's land. Everybody can fly over it, but as long as it's owned and it's not protected airspace, like with the, where you have an airport zone and so on and so forth. I think the only plausible mitigation here is for people to understand, the rights of ownership for one adjacent to the other and from, the respective groups.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my general view, I mean, the irony of all this is, I thought in 2008, when the project was approved, the concerns of the Hang Gliding Society were dealt with 900 and some odd homes. So now the ironic part is we're coming back and you're reducing by 2/3 the number of homes that are going to be proposed to come in here. And yet somehow a reduction of all of that brings back the same challenges and concerns from the hang gliding group. I don't like that. I don't like the disillusion of a development agreement. And I can understand an MOU with Cal State for access purposes, but it felt like the MOU is being presented as like the replacement for the DA. So I don't like that. Again, we're going from 20 units an acre down to 3 units an acre. I'm just.
If I may, Commissioners, in 2008, in the comments packet that you have, there was 4 possible ways to address the conflicts from both parties. So one of them was move the air park landing area farther west to reduce or eliminate conflict with housing. One was increase insurance coverage to address potential future safety and liability issues involving nearby residents. Another one was keep the area under the air park approach clear. And the fourth was dedicate the airspace to the DWR. And that is in the response to comments that the mitigation both sides had offered up. May I remind the Planning Commission that tonight we are not the approving body. Between now and the time that we go to Mayor and City Council for the final action, we can work all together to come up with some sort of mitigation that works for everybody.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Does anybody else want to speak? We got a second? Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve staff recommendation. So are there any alternate motions, or should we move forward with a vote?
Commissioner Daly?
No.
Commissioner Lopez?
No.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia?
Yes.
Vice Chair Quayle?
Yes.
Commissioner Galande?
Yes.
Commissioner Pratt?
Yes.
Commissioner Carloni?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-2.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Okay. Huh? Sure. Okay, we'll take a break until.
Sorry, Vice Chair, your microphone is off. Your microphone.
Okay, we'll take a short break until we have the next item of the agenda come up. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the discussion of the conditional use permit 2416, 111 Redlands Boulevard. Item 3.
Vice Chair Quayle, members of the Planning Commission, this item has been brought to the Commission as a request from the last Planning Commission meeting. As you well know, we have been having discussions regarding the two facilities that do recuperative care. One facility was the one on Ostrom's Way. The second facility is the one on Redlands. We had presented to the Planning Commission at the time that there were, besides the issue with the uses themselves, there were also issues with unpermitted work that were done to both facilities. I have the building official here this evening because he's been central in the discussions and negotiations regarding what work was done and how how the work complies with or doesn't comply with the Uniform Building Code. If you remember, the former mayor of the city was representing the motel owner. Mr. Valdivia is not here this evening, but I would like for Mr. Arellano to kind of talk about some of the critical issues that were discussed and more specifically what the Planning Commission actually requested the applicants to do at specific dates, which some of which have not been complied with. So once we talk about that, then I need to know what the desire of the Planning Commission is going forward. We've now agendized this item. Last week we couldn't talk about it in detail because it wasn't agendized. Now we've agendized it, but where do we go from here? So I'm going to have Jerry talk about some of those issues and so on and so forth. Jerry?
Can I make a motion to revoke their license, or where we're standing with this group?
Was there a question to me? I'm sorry, you were looking at me.
No, I was saying, can I make a motion to revoke?
You can make a motion to agendize it, but you
Okay.
can't make a motion to revoke tonight.
That's what I'm requesting.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
I would second that
I'll sec-
motion.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Call for the vote.
But before we make a vote, I just had a couple of comments. I want to commend Commissioner Ronica for doing her due diligence as a commissioner for both of the projects, for, in my words, discovering dead bodies on some of these projects. Because these projects were brought to the commission back in August of last year. And we got to put a stop to things like this that happen. Why are we starting construction without any permits? I have another project that I want to mention later in the Planning Commission reports and announcements that recently was completed that recently had a ribbon cutting. But I really want to commend the commissioner for, again, doing the research and holding the applicants, developers accountable. I'm not sure what we can do as a city staff team to prevent this from happening. It's like I've mentioned in the past, I know, I'm very certain there's other projects out there that have been brought to us with conditions of approval and have started. I can bring back 3, and I'm very certain that this is not the first project. We got to hold applicants and developers accountable. And I think we really have a good commission up here. Dan Carloni brings a lot of experience, construction experience, and he's mentioned a lot of the stuff that, you know, zoning changes. We got to really do our due diligence. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, call for the vote.
Commissioner Daly?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Ivan Garcia?
Yes.
Vice Chair Quell?
Yes.
Commissioner Galande?
Yes.
Commissioner Pratt?
Yes.
Commissioner Carloni?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Vice Chair Squirrel, I was just informed by IT that a good portion of what Mr. Ariano actually presented was not on tape. So they're requesting that we kind of provide them with some kind of a summary. So I don't know if, excuse me, do you want Jerry to kind of summarize what he said so that you can have it on record, or? Please. Okay, so if you don't mind, Jerry can I'm sure he had everything memorized, right? Jerry can repeat what he said so that it can be on tape, because since we're going to be going forward with revocation, it'll be nice to have that on record.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Lighting is good.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was working earlier. Okay. So for the record, Vice Chair Quell and members of the commission, I'm going to summarize the events and the communications between the city of San Bernardino and the legal property owner of both Motel 6 locations, one at 111 Redlands Boulevard and the other at 1960 Ostrom's Way, where there were two forms of building code and planning zoning use violations, one of which it was extensive unpermitted construction to the structures themselves done by the legal property owner at both locations, and the other by the unpermitted and unauthorized recuperative care operations at both locations. So to begin with the Ostrom's Way recuperative care facilities, at the start of all of this happened on October at the October Planning Commission last October 20, 2025, where it was brought to light that unpermitted, unauthorized recuperative care operations were being conducted at the Ostrom's Way location. Then that prompted us to have a look at the other location as well. Come to find out, both locations had unpermitted, unauthorized operations of recuperative care. The building division and code enforcement addressed this with the property owner and the recuperative care operations, and they eventually vacated the properties, which we have verified even prior to the recent holidays, that there were no more operations at both locations, which leaves the second building code violation at both locations, which was extensive renovations throughout the facilities. Both are owned by the same property owner. So I imagine he had his contractors go to one location, and after finishing that, he had his contractors go to the other location to do similar renovations. So fast forward, the CUP. We've covered that already. Ever since November of 2025, I have been in frequent communication with their representative, Mr. John Valdivia, and with their architect, which they retained the services of by request of our division and the city to help move this project along and get both properties into code compliance. And as of November, at the November Planning Commission, we did lay out and work on a tentative schedule verbally with Mr. John Valdivia, and he agreed. And we agreed that on the following Planning Commission in December, we would provide an update to the Planning Commission as to the progress and status of that schedule and the submittals. Fast forward to the December Planning Commission, we had the meeting here with John Valdivia, and he didn't comply with the verbal schedule that was agreed upon at the November Planning Commission. I did make several attempts with Mr. John Valdivia and his architect on providing a schedule of when he plans on first submittal and how he plans on managing the time frame of the resubmittals for both building permit applications for the unpermitted construction at both locations. Never received one after several requests. The most recent was last week. I had hoped to be able to work with John Valdivia, his designer, and with the property owners to be able to report to you today that there would have been a resubmittal of the first submittal for Redlands, and there would have been an initial submittal for a building permit application for Ostrom's. However, I never received a response from my email to them last week. So to kind of summarize at this point, the Redlands Boulevard facility, they do have a building permit application which was completed by the city in first review under fast track, or we finished it in half the time because of the urgency of the safety concerns. And now they did pick up the drawings with the comments, but they still they picked them up January 1st of this year, and they've yet to resubmit. And for the Ostrom's Way location, there has been no movement. There has been no submittal, any initial submittal for a building permit application for the building code violations.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just want to remind the commission that the property that was agendized is the 111 West Redlands Boulevard, and so that will be scheduled for a revocation hearing, not the Ostrom's Way, though, because that's not on the agenda tonight. Because it's not on the agenda, you can't vote to agendize that for revocation, even if you want to, because it's not on the agenda. I also wanted to ask Jerry. Jerry, you said for the Redlands Boulevard, they picked up plans January 1st, and they have not resubmitted to date. And in your professional opinion, they should have resubmitted already?
Yes, in my professional opinion, 10 business days is more than enough time for a designer to address comments and resubmit.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Quayle, just as a point of clarification, we have already revoked the CUP for the Ostrom's Way Recoup Care Facility. So we've already taken that action.
Could you repeat that, please?
The Ostrom's conditional use permit for the Recoup Care, remember we did a notice for revocation?
Right.
And I think we have taken action on that already.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Gabriel, can you provide clarification? The CUP for Redlands, is that for Recoup Care or for the hotel business?
It's for the Recoup Care.
Okay.
That's what the Planning Commission wanted us to bring forward, because the CUP for the motel itself, we are not able to find either original CUPs for either of the original motels. So we're still searching for them. So once we find them, then we can reference the CUP by number. If we don't know the CUP number or when it was approved and what the conditions were, I want to wait until we have that before we actually revoke the conditional use permit for the motels themselves. But this particular one is for the Recoup Care for the Illumination Foundation.
So what happens in the interim? They're just allowed to, because 1960 Ostrom's Way, it's packed. I mean, the parking lot's full. There still have a lot of people that are staying there right now. And I believe we had mentioned that some of it's being used for the voucher program.
So all those uses were supposed to have been terminated. Again, so I'm really glad you brought this issue up, because from where I stand, I have to rely on people to do certain things. The last time we went there, I was told by staff that everything has been cleared out. The Recoup Care is gone. All these other uses are gone. The only thing left was the motel. Now, I haven't been there personally to see it, but I should be able to rely on the project planners like Mr. Morales, Mr. Rosales, or Chantel to go out in the field and verify whether or not these activities are still taking place. So if the motel is full, I need to verify who are the people in there. As far as the voucher programs, there's a report going to the city council that the city is discontinuing voucher programs at these 2 locations. We're using a different motel for which is also owned by Mr. Patel, but not these 2 locations. I mean, I have that on paper, so I can only tell you what I know.
Right. Thank you so much. And I state that because I know that you had shared with us that there were several businesses that were operating out of that hotel, Community Care. I believe that's connected with NHHA. There was something called Unity Way, ABA. You had sent a certificate for them.
Yes.
And then WPPC and Encompass.
Right,
there
so
were those 4.
anything related to NHHA, which is related to the recoup care, should have been gone. The only thing left should be left there would be uses that are related to the motel itself. The city has told me, and I have evidence of it, that we're not continuing any kind of voucher programs with that location. So, for the life of me, I don't know how the motel is full with people. Perhaps I should send Chantel out tomorrow morning and go there and see. Mike, do you have?
And just to clarify, they could be full just with a bunch of people staying there for the night, as a hotel motel. So just because it's full, that doesn't mean there's any violations going on. There can be, because we know that there were violations going on at that property before. But I just want to throw that out. Even if it's full and there's a lot of cars and there's a lot of traffic, that all could be, perfectly legal and permitted. So I just want to throw that out there.
Absolutely. I just didn't realize that the voucher program is no longer going to be used at that motel. That's what was my concern, was the voucher program. So thank you for clarifying that.
I have a quick comment or question about your comment about you can't locate the original conditional use permits. So until you locate those, we can take no action?
Well, we can take no action to revoke the CUP for the motel itself. We can take action on the CUPs for any other uses in it, such as the recoup care. So the recoup care requires a CUP in both locations. We've taken action on the Ostrom's Way CUP. We're going to take action on the Redlands Boulevard CUP. But as far as the motel itself, that was approved by conditional use permit, and the revocation of those CUPs is predicated upon the fact that they have made misleading statements to the city and have done illegal operation. So if you want to go as far as revoking the CUP for the motels, then we have to find the original CUPs so that we can bring that forward and officially revoke it, unless there's some other legal instruments that are available that will allow us to revoke a conditional use permit without knowing which conditional use permit number that we revoked.
Can you request that information from the owner of the hotel?
I think we have, and I think we're at a point now where they are trying to look at their records. It's very likely that they were not the original owners of the motel, because according to records, it seems like this motel was built several years ago. So we're on track. We're on track trying to find as much information as we can. And if anybody in the community knows anything specifically that would help us arrive at that conclusion, at this point, we are doing the things that we have the authority to do, and we are not being successful at this particular time. So if what I'm hearing from you is not only do you want to revoke the CUP for the uses in the motel, you want to revoke the CUP for the motel itself. Is that correct? Yes. For both locations?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
So we could do the research, and most likely, if anything, it would be in archives. So we still have to go through the boxes around a certain time that it was actually built or approved.
When was it? You said it was just built not that long ago, so wouldn't you have it like?
So no, it's
like in the 80s, right?
Oh, okay.
So if it's not, it's since our
Oh.
permit system only goes back to 1990.
I see.
If it's not within our permit system, it's gonna be in a paper form. and
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So that's when I got to
Okay.
a mask and go in there. Look, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? We'll move forward with the Planning Commission reports and announcements. So, anybody have any reports?
I got 3 items.
Okay, go ahead.
First one that I have tonight is the Kindle and 48th beautification project that the community residents and volunteers worked on. It took us about 30 days to complete. We had over 100 volunteers. We have a ribbon cutting, hopefully, I think towards the end of this month. And I really want to commend all the volunteers and residents that came out. We had about 250,000 donations to this project. And that project is a sample of what doers really do in our city, that have passion, that are about the city and about beautifying our city. The second item I had was Lytle Creek Park. So 2 weeks ago, I visited this park, and I'm just a little bit upset that we had a ribbon cutting back in September 2025, and this project doesn't have soccer goals. How do we have a ribbon cutting without soccer goals? That's like going to a dealer, buying a brand new car, and they're saying, hey, your car doesn't have headlights or a mirror. You can take it. That's very upsetting. Yeah, we played at this park at night. We had to set up a generator, put lights. The other thing, there's no lights at this park. That tells me somebody's not doing their job. And if you're not doing your job, please don't work for our city. There's got to be better leadership, and leadership starts at the top. The other thing that I noticed about this park, there's a couple of punch list items that man gates are not latching properly. And again, we had a ribbon cutting 4 months ago. It's disheartening to know that we have people in our city that don't care about projects, that are not passionate, and we need to bring better people to our city that really care. At least I care. I'm working here. I'm a volunteer. I'm not getting paid. The last thing that I had was regarding commissions. I think it's very critical that we occupy our commissions, and that we don't have commissioners serving more than one commission. There's a lot of good people in our city. We really need to occupy these commissions, have reoccurring monthly meetings, and we need to hear more input from our city residents. That's all that I have. Thanks.
Commissioner Garcia, if I just make a comment about commissions. 1 hour before this planning commission meeting, there was a finance committee, Measure S committee. This will be the second time that I have dedicated my time to attend the Measure S committee, and we didn't have a quorum. Second time in a row. And Measure S committee is an important committee. So I'm just going to throw that out there. When we select people to serve on commissions, we need to make sure that these are people that are willing to take the time. In being a commissioner of this or that, to me, is not a glorified position. It is because you want to roll up your sleeves and work. So when we are having meetings that are scheduled, we have the venue scheduled. In fact, we moved a planning commission meeting all the way to the library to facilitate a meeting taking place in here. And then to hear that we have these commission meetings and nobody shows up. Today, only Commissioner Daley showed up for that commission because he's on that commission as well, right? He was the only one. Last time, there were 3 people that were there. We had a whole agenda and items to discuss. We didn't have a quorum. Everybody went home. So I don't appoint people on commissions. I don't appoint people on committees. But when we appoint people, we need to make sure that these are people that are dedicated to the subject matter. As far as the parks and recreation, the parks, those are not within the purview of the Community Development Department. That's Parks and Recreation. It has a director. My comment on ribbon cutting is that sometimes it's very ceremonial. It doesn't, in fact, we have to kind of, rein people back. Please make sure before you participate in any activity, ribbon cutting, and make sure that the project that you're posing photos with is actually at least A, legitimate, which means they have permits, B, they're not doing any kind of illegal things in there, and it happens all the time. Now, this is a city project, so I can't really comment as to why we had ribbon cutting, no goalposts, and we still don't have goalposts, and we don't have lighting. Now, I know that funds have been dedicated to the city parks when we had the ARPA money, CDBG money. Money was dedicated to these parks to improve them. Perhaps it's a matter of time, but why do a ribbon cutting 4 months ago without a goalpost? I don't really understand that. We can delay ribbon cutting until the facility is actually complete, and then cut the ribbons, and then let people go and play there. So that's my 2 cents on that issue. The first item you mentioned, when you mentioned that at the Planning Commission meeting, I did not get the address. I scrambled for what is it that you're talking about, because by nature I'm a volunteer. I would have come, roll up my sleeves, dug into the dirt, and it's part of what I do. But I didn't know the location of this project, so I couldn't participate in it. Thank you.
Any commissioner? You have an announcement? Or?
I just wanted to go back to what you were saying about the attendance and being a volunteer. It is a lot to take away the time to be here because it's late. Even though it's only once a month, I'm telling you, that's time away from my child. So are there any guidelines for attendance, like for these positions? I'm just curious.
Yes, Commissioner Galande, there are guidelines, and there are guidelines regarding attendance. For example, Planning Commission meetings, if you have 3 consecutive unexcused absences, you could be removed. So for the commissioners that are not going to be present, an email or phone call to say, I'm not going to be there, basically, makes us understand. But if you have 3 consecutive ones whereby you don't call, you don't email, because we consider your position to be important, you're making significant decisions on this commission. And we're not saying you can't be away. Things happen. You could be ill, you could have family issues or whatever. That is excusable. It's the unexcused absences that result in removal. Now, when it's difficult to actually fill the positions in the first place, perhaps the folks who are appointing people feel a little bit reluctant to replace somebody who maybe have missed 2 meetings without any excuses. So there might be some foot dragging there, but there are guidelines as to attendance.
My last question is, I looked at the agenda for, I think it was public safety, and they had on their agenda voting for a new chair. Is that something that we do? Because I know you had mentioned having different roles, having new people once a year. Just made me think about that. Is that something that we do once a year here?
Commissioner Galande, I don't know if it's something now. That is something that the Planning Commission amongst yourselves can actually dictate to us. If you say at the first of every year, we want to have a new chair or whatever, or 2 years, so that everybody who serves on the Planning Commission gets an opportunity to be chair. I mean, it's, that is a policy decision that you would have to make. Say, okay, every 2 years we want to have a new chair, not because the chair is not performing properly, but because we want everybody to have the opportunity to do it. You can do that. I don't think we have anything in writing right now that says every year we have to appoint a new planning commissioner.
Got it.
Planning commission chair.
The municipal code actually does address that. It says for all commissions and boards that every year there should be an election of a new chair and vice chair, because the term is only for 1 year. I don't recall the last time we had elections. I think staff probably should do some research on that and report back and tell you all, are you past it or is the year not up? And if you're past it, then staff can agendize that to select a new chair and vice chair.
We can do the research, because I think before Commissioner Sherrick became chair, Dolores was the chair, and I don't know if that's been a year. Now, to remove any kind of ambiguity, if we want to make it consistent with the calendar year, that is also something we can do. So make it January 1st to January 1st, and then appoint a chair and a vice chair, and then January 1st, we know the first meeting of the year, it would be election time, and then you guys can caucus amongst each other and elect a new chair and a new vice chair.
Okay, thank you. Any other commission reports on this end? Go ahead.
Thank you. I just had a request. I don't know if this is the right time for future agenda items.
It would be.
Okay. Is there any update that the commission could receive as it relates to the downtown specific plan, and perhaps agendize a future meeting, a presentation on the downtown specific plan and kind of where that is and what our plans are moving forward with that?
Commissioner Dilly, I was actually going to make that presentation as part of my directors. So you beat me to it. But we can make that discussion. We can talk about that when we under the director's report.
Okay. Mr. Elliott, you want to give us a director's report? And would you please give me a real brief information on what's going on with the Oxbow?
So, Vice Chair Quayle, what I can tell you about Oxbow is when we took the Oxbow crushing thing to the city council and it got approved, Oxbow is now working on submitting a grading plan. And with the grading plan, then they will be able to actually touch dirt on that site. The map itself has been considered to be still active, so the applicant is working on a grading plan to be submitted to the city. So I don't know the timeline on that, but that's the latest information on Oxbow. Mm-hmm. As for the director's report, just to let the commissioners know that our consultant, PlaceWorks, did submit all the elements of the general plan. They submitted a downtown specific plan. They submitted the development code, and they also submitted a revision to the subdivision section of the code, and also a draft EIR. So we have all the things we've kind of been clamoring to get from them. We got it before the end of the year. Now we have those documents in-house. Now, the simplest of all those documents is the downtown specific plan. It's the smallest of the documents. And I think we can start from that. My position has always been that when we get all these documents back, go back to the GPAC, for those of you who may have served on the GPAC, rekindle yourselves with what you told the city 2 years ago when the last time the GPAC actually convened, and to make sure that those things are respected in the documents that we have. So we have to do all that horse trading before we finally take the items forward for formal approval. So, and as far as the downtown specific plan, I think it's about less than 80 pages, but to me, it is the core of the focal point of how we can begin to rekindle the kind of activities, economic development activities in the city. Lots of land, lots of specific proposals. And if we begin with that, and if you have other ideas, recommendations with a downtown specific plan, then we can at least include them into that so that by the time the EIR is completed, we would have something that we could consider to be the voice of the Planning Commission going forward. So that's the gist of my of the director's report this time.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us into our adjournment. Next meeting, February 10th, 6 p.m. in this room.
Vice Chair Quayle, how about the question that that Commissioner
sorry, go ahead.
Daly posed regarding
Sure.
the downtown specific plan? Is there any specific direction you want the Commission to share with staff so that we can move accordingly, or are you satisfied with just bringing it back to you at some point in the very near future so that you can start deliberating on it?
My preference would be that we agendize it at the earliest possible meeting, so that the commission has an opportunity to see it, talk about it, consider it, provide any potential input on it prior to it kind of getting set in stone and ultimately going forward for adoption. I'm sure it's fantastic, but for myself, I'm super excited to see it. I want to know what's in it. I want to make sure it's aligned. And I feel like if we have an opportunity to at least see it, touch it, feel it, talk about it, consider it, then when it does move forward, whether it's to the GPAC and then ultimately to the City Council, I mean, I guess it would come to us for adoption prior to council, but I would like for us to get a bite at it before it comes to us in the final form.
Okay. Because I know how soon we send you notices and packets for Planning Commission meetings, you may not have enough time to review a document of that volume. I'm going to ask the city attorney, can we send them the downtown specific plan before the scheduled hearing date so that they have at least a lead time to review the document, and then when they come to the Planning Commission meeting, it's not, oh, we got this over the weekend and you want me to make a comment on it on Wednesday or Tuesday?
Yes, you could send out either links or just, PDFs of all of the elements, the downtown specific plan, all of these documents. They're going to come to them. You could send it to them as early as you want. Do it under BCC. Don't discuss it among yourselves. You can read it, but I encourage you, don't discuss it among yourselves. That has to be at an agendized meeting. There's some nuances there, but I just like to give a blanket rule as a prophylactic. Does that answer your question, Gabriel?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you, Albert.
Thank you very much for the consideration. I appreciate it.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, then we will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you very much.